Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
And welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, it's Friday, best day of the week, weekend's coming up, very excited for it, got some plans, hope you guys have some plans too. If not, enjoy staying, relaxing at home this weekend, unless maybe you got to come into work, who knows, just enjoy it. But either way, like I said, Friday, best day. Alright, so let me tell you how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off with the NBA games from yesterday. We're going to recap those. The games which were on Thursday. Second segment, we're going to be talking Philly. All right. Can't really catch a break here. Joel Embiid out 2 to 4 weeks with an orbital fracture. We're going to be talking about that. Pretty much talk about Philly as a whole. We've spent a lot of this week on Philly, but they've been dominating the headlines. All right, so we'll be doing that. And then for the third segment, I know we talked a bit about Isaiah Thomas the other day, but we're pretty much going to revisit the whole Cavs-Celtics trade as a whole, talk about Isaiah's career so far, talk about pretty much just unpack it all. All right, we're going to talk about the Lakers, so we'll be doing that for the third segment. And for the fourth segment, we'll be talking about anything else that's going on in the world of basketball, whether that be maybe some Final Four predictions. I know we talked about it on Monday, I believe it was, but maybe I've changed my mind. Who knows? We'll be doing that, talking about anything else going on, and making my picks for tonight's NBA games. So, going to be a fun show. Let's get into it. First up, we had the Washington Wizards facing off with the Detroit Pistons in Detroit, and Detroit won this one, 103-92. For Washington, you had Markieff Morris with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 5 of 15, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Otto Porter Jr. had 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Bradley Beal, 15 points, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 17, 1 of 8 from the three-point line. Tomas Satoransky had 11 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 4 of 8 from the field. And then off the bench, you had Kelly Oubre Jr. with 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 5 of 12 there. And Mike Scott had 8 points, 4 rebounds. For Detroit, no Blake Griffin in this one. I believe he was out with an ankle sprain. Yeah, he's out with an ankle injury. He's going to miss the week. All right, you had Anthony Tolliver, who came into the starting five for him with 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 4 of 6 from the field. Stanley Johnson got a start in this one. 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 4 of 11, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Andre Drummond had 24 points, 23 rebounds, shot 4 assists, shot 10 of 16 from the field. Reggie Jackson, 13 points, 8 assists, shot 6 of 16 from the field, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. Reggie Bullock had 14 points in this one, shot 6 of 9, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Luke Kennard with 8 points, shot 2 of 5, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. All right, so this game for Washington, obviously, it's been tough for them the last couple of weeks, all right? Was playing pretty well without John Wall. Now it's looking like, yeah, we actually need him. And I believe right now they're only a half game up on the Miami Heat for that 6th spot. So, I mean, if you're Washington, best case scenario is you finish as the 7th seed, all right? Because if you finish as the 7th seed, you're going to be facing off with the Boston team without Kyrie Irving or Marcus Smart, and you're going to be getting John Wall back. If anything, if I'm the Wizards, that's what I'm playing for. I'm playing for the 7th spot, all right? If I'm any of those teams right now, I'm playing for the 7th spot, meaning the Bucks, the Heat, or the Wizards, all right? Because all the Pacers and Sixers, they're going to be the 4 and 5 seeds, whether it's the Pacers as the 4 or the Sixers as the 4 remains to be seen. But with the Wizards, Heat, and Bucks, I mean, why wouldn't you want to play a Celtics team without their best player and without their best player off the bench? All right, I guess off the bench you could say Terry Rozier's been their best player, but Marcus Smart does bring that type of spark. He's got that it factor type thing going on there. But either way, yeah, if I'm the Wizards, I mean, I want to finish as that 17 because I do think the Wizards with John Wall could possibly knock off the Celtics in the first round. And I said possibly. I'm not ready yet to say that they would because of the fact that Brad Stevens has a team playing extremely well without Kyrie. I think they're 13-4 without Kyrie Irving, so that's pretty solid there. But either way, I'm sure the Wizards got their eye on that 7th seed, even though they're currently the 6th. So let's recap. Detroit won that one, 103-92. For the next game, we had the Miami Heat beating the Chicago Bulls in Miami, 103-92. Same score. I didn't even notice that. But either way, you had Robin Lopez with 13 points, 6 rebounds for Chicago. Shot 6 of 12 from the field. Cameron Artis-Payne had 11 points, 5 assists. Shot 4 of 10, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Justin Holiday had 13 points, shot 3 of 10, 3 of 7 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Bobby Portis with 13 points, 16 rebounds, shot 6 of 16. And then Denzel Valentine struggled in this one, had 4 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Shot 2 of 10, 0 of 3 from the three-point line. For Miami, you had James Johnson, shot 1 of 5 in this one, 2 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Josh Richardson had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 8 of 16, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Hassan Whiteside played 19 minutes in this one, had 8 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 3 of 8. I think it was his first game back off of injury. Then you had Goran Dragic with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 6 of 11, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Kelly Olynyk with 11 points, 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 7, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. And then Justice Winslow had 13 points, 9 rebounds, shot 5 of 8, 1 of 3 from the three-point line in 26 minutes. All right. I mean, the Miami Heat, obviously, you got to win these games. I'm sure that, and I'm kind of curious to see, with the season winding down, I mean, does a team like Miami want to move up in the standings? I mean, the only spot they can really move up is the 6th spot, and you're going to have to be facing off with a team like the Cavs. And if I'm any of these teams, I'm not wanting to play the Cavs in the first round just because of the fact that you're going to have to go against LeBron. It's going to be probably your toughest series to date. All right. With the Wizards, I do think that they could possibly knock off the Cavs. All right. The Wizards are going to be kind of that sleeper team in the playoffs because of the fact that they're going to be in John Wall back. And I feel like we've seen the Wizards more so this year without John Wall than we have seen them with him. So there's one thing to worry about there. If you're the Cavs at the Celtics, because of the fact that, I mean, you might even you're going to have to play a team with John Wall. And if I'm the Raptors, I mean, the Bucks are only about a game back of the Wizards right now for the 6th spot. And imagine if you're the Raptors and you got to play the Wizards in the first round. That's going to be tough. So the team to avoid right now in that 6th through 8th seed is obviously the Wizards, but we'll see about it. And the Miami Heat, I mean, it's going to be a tough team to face off with in the first round too. But either way, they knocked off the Chicago Bulls 103-92. Then we had the San Antonio Spurs facing off with the Oklahoma City Thunder in San Antonio, and the Spurs won this one 103-99. You had Carmelo Anthony with 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 3 of 6, 3 of 3 from the three-point line in 32 minutes. Corey Brewer had 14 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 5 of 8, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Paul George had 26 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 9 of 20, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Steven Adams had 10 points, 13 rebounds, shot 5 of 11. And then Russell Westbrook had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 7 of 19, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Raymond Felton with 10 points, 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 8 there, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. For the Spurs, you had LaMarcus Aldridge with 25 points, 11 rebounds, shot 9 of 19. Kyle Anderson had 10 points, shot 4 of 4 there. Pau Gasol got the start in this one, 6 points, 12 rebounds, shot 2 of 7. Patty Mills had 14 points, only 1 rebound, 1 assist. Didn't shoot the ball really well in this one at all. 3 of 12 from the field, 3 of 9 from the three-point line. And then Dejounte Murray had 7 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 3 of 8. Off the bench, you had Rudy Gay with 9 points, 8 rebounds. Tony Parker had 8 points, 4 assists. And then you had Manu Ginobili with 10 points, 3 rebounds in this one, all right? Spurs are currently the 4 seed in the West right now. Have made a bit of a comeback, and I guess it's just a matter of maybe the Spurs are on the up and up. If they get Kawhi back, that's going to be a very dangerous team to face off with. And, I mean, let's say that the Spurs somehow caught up to the Pacers and ended up finishing as a 3 seed, and they got Kawhi Leonard back. That'd be tough for the Warriors in the second round, all right? That's like worst case scenario. Playing the Spurs in the second round with Kawhi and then playing the Rockets in the third round, if you're able to get past the Spurs, that would be tough there. But either way, Spurs won this one 103-99. Oklahoma City Thunder, I think they're getting bounced in the first round. They're going to be facing off with a team like the Spurs because I think right now the Thunder are the 5 seed right now in the West. So if they got to play the Spurs, and let's say the Spurs get Kawhi back, the Thunder stand no chance whatsoever. All right, this team was a failure. This was a failure season because of the fact that they were built to compete with the Rockets and Warriors, and they're barely even competing with the bottom half of the top 8 teams in the West. All right, I mean with the Thunder, it just hasn't worked out, and it's going to be curious to see what happens with this team because I think Paul George is good as gone. I think Carmelo Anthony might be able to opt out of his deal, or I think the team has an option to let him loose. So we'll see about that. And Russell Westbrook, I mean, he should never sign that deal after KD signed with the Warriors. All right, I understand you want to pretty much paint yourself as the good guy and be like, oh yeah, I'm the guy who's going to stick around, but this is a business. You don't want to play for the Thunder for the rest of your career, all right? You don't want to play at Oklahoma City for that matter. But anyway, like I said, the Spurs won that one, 103-99. Then we had the Pacers facing off with the Sacramento Kings, and this was a close one, but the Pacers knocked off the Kings 106-103. Thaddeus Young had 18 points, 8 rebounds, shot 8 of 13. Bojan Bogdanovic had 25 points, shot 7 of 13, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. Miles Turner had 9 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 8, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Darren Collison had 8 points, 9 assists, and you had Victor Oladipo with 24 points, 5 rebounds, shot 9 of 14, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. For the Kings, you had Skal Labissière with 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 1 of 5. Justin Jackson had 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, shot 2 of 5 from the field there. Willie Cauley-Stein had 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 9 of 11. De'Aaron Fox, 8 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 4 of 8. You had Bogdan Bogdanovic, no relation to Bojan Bogdanovic. He had 21 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 8 of 15, 4 of 9 from the three-point line. Kosta Koufos had 7 points, 4 rebounds. And then you had Frank Mason with 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 5 of 9 or 5 of 10, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. And then Buddy Hield had 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 7 of 12 there, 4 of 7 from the three-point line. I think the Kings really have something to Frank Mason, and he's going to be a solid backup point guard for that team going forward. Buddy Hield might be a six-man for that team, looking like they like Justin Jackson this year and Bogdanovic. And right now, you could say that Bogdanovic is a better player right now all around than Buddy Hield is. But Buddy Hield off the bench, if he could turn into that little good six-man, then they might have something there. The Kings really need a hit in this draft. They need a Michael Porter or someone of that caliber in order to take the next step. All right. Obviously, they're not going to be going with the Trae Young or Colin Sexton, so we'll see what ends up happening. Best case scenario for the Kings, I think, is if they end up with the 5 or 6 draft pick this year. Worst case scenario is if they end up with like 9 or 8. I feel so. We'll see about it. As for the Pacers, I mean, got to jump. All right. Phillies without Joel Embiid, got to take over that 4 spot so you don't have to face off. You don't have to. You get home court in the first round, and I think if they end up. Yeah, I think either way they'd be facing the Raptors in the second round. So I guess, yeah, just pretty much trying to jump Philly for the home court in the first round. But anyways, for the last game of the night, we had the Milwaukee Bucks facing off with the Golden State Warriors, and Milwaukee won this one, 116-107. For Milwaukee, you had Giannis Antetokounmpo with 32 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 14 of 18 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Chris Middleton had 23 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 9 of 17, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. Eric Bledsoe had 20 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 9 of 11, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Jabari Parker with 14 points, 7 rebounds, shot 6 of 12. And Jason Terry had 8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 3 of 4 there. For the Warriors, we had Draymond Green, who had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 4 of 7, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. Kevin Durant only played 17 minutes in this one, ended up getting ejected, all right? It was a bit of a harsh ejection call. I think he got teed up twice in the matter of seconds. The refs got to realize that, I don't know, there's something going on with the refs and the players, and they really got to figure it out. But either way, Kevin Durant shot 4 of 10, had 10 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds in the 17 minutes that he did play. JaVale McGee had 12 points, no rebounds, so not great there. Quinn Cook had 30 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 12 of 15, 5 of 5 from the three-point line. A monster game by him, and then you have Patrick McCaw with 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 3 of 9, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. It seems like this might be the year where the Warriors' dominance just doesn't get to the finals. All right, Rockets are playing really well. Warriors are going to have to play a team like Minnesota with Jimmy Butler in the first round. No Steph Curry there. Second round, you're going to have to face off with either the Spurs with possibly Kawhi Leonard or maybe even the Trailblazers. And like I said, third round, you're probably going to have to face off with the Rockets if you make it that far, who was one of the best teams in the league. And if I'm the Warriors, I'm kind of nervous about that first round. All right, if I'm a Warriors fan, I should say, because of the fact that, yeah, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, but none of them's a leader. None of them brings in what Steph Curry does. So we'll see about it. And plus, playing a team with Jimmy Butler is always going to be tough. But that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Philadelphia 76ers missing out or losing Joel Embiid. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked about yesterday's NBA games, recap those, and for this one, we're going to be talking Joel Embiid with his injury, and going to be talking Philly, all right? Like I said, they've been dominating the headlines, so we got to talk about them a little bit more, but either way, let's get into it, all right? So, obviously, Philly having a real solid year, currently the 4 seed. I think they're a half game up on the Pacers and about a half game back of the Cavs for that 3 seed. Yeah, so actually they're tied with the Pacers, but Philly has less losses, so they have that 4 seed. And like I said, they're a half game back of the Cavs for that 3 seed. And with Philly, it's just a matter of they were playing well all year, and now it's just like, well, Embiid's out, so what's next? All right, and Embiid, like I said, he's got an orbital fracture and a concussion. Supposed to be out 2 to 4 weeks. All right, the NBA playoffs, I think, are starting in about 2 weeks there. So it's just a matter of if Joel Embiid, I guess, wants to return early and put on the mask or wait till this thing heals up. And, I mean, there's many ways we can go about this and talk about it, so we're just pretty much going to cover everything here as far as Philly goes and all that. But it's just a matter of this team can't catch a break. Okay, they can't whatsoever. I mean, you had Joel Embiid, who last year I think played like 30-something games. This year, finally playing the second night of a back-to-back and looking like the injuries are past him. Okay, and we're reaching the end of the regular season. That's one thing, too, with the NBA right now. We're being hit by an injury plague. Let me tell you, okay? Steph's out, Kyrie's out, Clay's out, Marcus Smart's out. The Cavs been dealing with injuries, and Kevin Love is still out with a concussion. You got Embiid. A bunch of players have gotten injured this year. Mike Conley was out for most of the season. So I mean, with the Sixers, it's just worst possible time to have this happen. Okay, because of the fact that you want to go into the playoffs pretty much playing your best basketball. You want to go in having a good, solid rhythm, knowing what works, knowing what doesn't. And now with Embiid being out, it's kind of like you're gonna have to finish off the regular season without him, and hope that he's gonna be ready by game 1 of the first round, which is going to be tough because you're going to be playing like a team like Indiana. Let's say that Embiid isn't ready till maybe game 3. That's going to be 2 losses right there. Indiana will be up 2-0 if Embiid does not come back for those first couple of games. All right? And even then, so it's not a given that when Embiid comes back, Philly's going to start winning or they're going to be able to knock off a team like the Pacers. All right? Right now, it'd be tough as it is with Embiid against the Pacers, and without him, it's pretty much the Sixers have no chance. Okay? I know that Philly fans are going to be pointing out, we still got Ben Simmons. He's playing well, and we got Fultz back. But I'm telling you right now, that's not going to be enough to knock off the Pacers. And Philly just isn't simply the same team they are with Embiid when they don't have him. All right, he's the one that makes that team work. He is the best player on that team, and he is pretty much the guy that makes everyone around him better, along with Ben Simmons. But there's something about Embiid, his presence out there that pretty much puts Philly in the best position to win. All right. And now, since you're missing him, it's kind of like Ben Simmons has to step up, and so does Markelle Fultz. And it's kind of like this isn't like the sole reason why I thought Markelle Fultz shouldn't have came back this year, but this kind of adds to it right here. Because let's say this, okay? Let's say that Markelle Fultz did have the shoulder injury, but also did have the yips and was mentally just not ready yet. All right, so he's coming back for the playoffs. Now Embiid's out. All right, up until who knows when. Fultz is gonna have to step up. Fultz can't just be a guy who is coming off the bench. Fultz is going to have to pretty much play like the number 1 draft pick this year. All right? Because let's not forget, I understand with Markelle Fultz, he just got back, but eventually he is going to have to step up a bit. Like, it's not like, oh, he's back, we're glad he's back now, let's just pretty much see what kind of player we got. No, this guy still needs to play with a number 1 pick. Obviously, it might not happen this season, but by next season, the guy's got to start playing like they drafted him number 1 for a reason. We got to start seeing the Markelle Fultz that we all expected to see, the three-way scorer where you could drive in, hit mid-range, or hit a 3-point shot. All right? Because if not, then he's going to turn out to be a bust. Okay? I understand that he missed most of the season this year, so I'm going to give him a pass. But eventually, he's going to have to make a step up. Okay? And even then, so possibly even this year. Because of the fact that Embiid's going to be out for a few weeks. All right? Possibly even a month. Fultz is someone where I think we felt bad for, so we gave a pass, but let's not forget where he got drafted and all that, okay? Because of the fact that, I mean, you're going to need him to play his best basketball if Philly wants to. And this is the thing, too. We have, like, no real clarity, I guess we could say, with Embiid. Like, it's kind of like his season's over. It's like, that's kind of the feeling I got. All right. Obviously, they said 2 to 4 weeks, but it kind of feels like Embiid's going to be out for the rest of the season. I think it's one of those things, all right? I kind of feel like Philly's just mojo has gone down, and maybe it's just me, and maybe they're optimistic for the playoffs since they think they'll have Embiid back for the first round, which is going to be tough because of the fact, like I said, playoffs are going to be starting in 2 weeks. That's like the minimum of when Embiid will probably be back. All right, I'd see it more so. He's probably going to have to put on the mask and go out there, but as far as Philly goes, I mean, if I was them, I would think about just sitting Embiid for the rest of the playoffs, for the rest of the season. All right, because of the fact that, yeah, I have said before that they do have a chance to go out and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but it's a matter of you're not going to win the championship this year, and it's just like, why bring back Joel Embiid when you know that he is how do you say, injury prone, I guess you could say, because of the fact that the guy's been hurt for so long. All right, and so many times. I mean, he missed his first 2 seasons. I think it was rehabbing from his injury. Now you got him back, and it's looking like he's going to play well, but boom, you get the orbital fracture. All right, and this was a little bit of a freak injury. I mean, I think it was Fultz. His head ran into the corner of Embiid's, and that's how he fractured his orbital bone or whatever it is. So, I mean, even then, it's kind of weird to see Markelle Fultz is back. Boom, Embiid gets hurt. It's kind of bad luck there. But either way with the Sixers, I mean, that kind of reminds me, too. Sixers have had about 5 top 4 draft picks within the last 5 or 6 years. And it's like they've had Nerlens, like everyone's been hurt. All right. Nerlens Noel, when they drafted him, I think was hurt. I think Jahlil Okafor wasn't hurt. I think he was fine. Ben Simmons missed a year. Joel Embiid missed 2 years. Markelle Fultz had the yips. All right. And it's just, even then so too, I mean, it's tough to draft a sure thing with a high pick like that. So far, they've only hit on 2 out of the 5. One of them remains to be seen with Markelle Fultz. Obviously, with Nerlens Noel and Jahlil Okafor playing somewhere else, those picks didn't work out. And with Nerlens Noel, I mean, that guy, that's a weird player right there, okay? Because of the fact that he could have got a bunch of money from Dallas, chose to turn it down. Now he gets a 1-year deal, and just simply hasn't done anything this season, all right? Nerlens Noel has no real value in the league right now because of the fact that he's not even really truly getting big minutes with a team like Dallas, and they're tanking right now. All right, Nerlens Noel just hasn't been what you would have expected him to be. All right, and even Jahlil Okafor and Karl Anthony Towns. There was talk who's going to go first. Is it going to be Towns or is it going to be Okafor? And it was Towns, and that was the right pick. And with Okafor, it's just a matter of, I don't know, he's just not the player we thought he'd be. Doesn't play real defense. All right, doesn't have, like, he's not the prototypical center that we got now. He's not like a Joel Embiid or anything like that. All right, so with the Sixers, I mean, they've done well in the draft picks so far, but now it's just a matter of, I guess, hoping to see that Joel Embiid comes back sooner rather than later, because if he's back maybe by the middle of the first round, it's going to be tough. Philly's not winning a game without him, no matter who they're playing, unless somehow they got some type of magic going on. All right. But with the Sixers, it's kind of like I said. I mean, you might just think about sitting Embiid for the rest of the season because there's no real point of bringing him back. You're not winning a title, and it's going to be very difficult even with Embiid to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I say shut him down, wait for next year, all right, because there's no rush for the Sixers right now, and that's the thing, too, with the Sixers. There's no real rush, okay? No one's expecting you guys to be great right now. Obviously, within the next few years, you're going to take a step up, but that's the thing right there. You have a few years, okay? No, the season already for Philly is a success. All right, they can get swept in the first round, and I'd still think they had a very good season because of the fact that no one expected them to be this good. I guess you could say. All right, Ben Simmons, I'm sure everyone was waiting for him to come back. He does. He plays well, and that's one thing too. I guess Ben Simmons was a guy that we all pretty much agreed that was going to be a very good player. Joel Embiid, I was kind of nervous about as far as how well he'd play when he came out of the draft. All right, because of the fact that I just didn't think he was as dominant as he would be like how he was at Kansas. Nonetheless, I mean, here he is playing well, and you got Markelle Fultz, where I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Fultz now, all right? Obviously, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be playing. Is he going to be getting more minutes? Is he going to try and take over that second role behind Ben Simmons now that Ben Simmons has to elevate himself and be the best player on that team? Or are we going to see a Markelle Fultz who's only playing about 10 to 14 minutes a game, only scoring about 5, 10 points possibly, and I guess just kind of figure out his jump shot still, all right? It's going to be very interesting to see right now what's going on with this Philly team. And even then, so I mean, I don't know. It's just with Philly, it's just kind of like they can't, like I said, they can't catch a break. It's like with the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? They're playing well. Carson Wentz is looking like the future MVP winner for that season. All right, playing the Rams, they're beating up on them. And then Wentz tears his ACL, and it's kind of like all the air in the room went out. All right, it's kind of like that promising season you had is now over, and that's kind of what I get the feeling with Joel Embiid, okay? It kind of feels like the season's over, and he could be back for the playoffs. And it's kind of weird to see that it's just we got this feeling here, all right? Because it's like Philly was riding so high, and now it's just a matter of, well, it happened again. We can't catch a break, so we'll see about it. But either way, that's actually going to wrap it up for this segment. I mean, as far as Philly goes, they do have a solid chance at making it in as the 4 seed still because of the fact that they have a pretty weak schedule going forward. I think they play Brooklyn, the Hawks twice, and the toughest team they play is like Cleveland or something like that. But there's no real true challenges on that schedule besides Cleveland, I believe it is. So we'll see how they handle it when Embiid's going to be back. If he comes back, dude's going to have to wear the mask when he does come back, though. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you're going to see how Ben Simmons plays without him. We're going to see how Markelle Fultz plays without him. So either way, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to talk about the whole Isaiah Thomas trade from him going to Cleveland. All right, give my thoughts on it. We're going to talk about him going to LA. Pretty much talking about those 3 teams that it affected. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked about Philly, we've talked about yesterday's NBA games, and for this segment, we're going to talk about the Isaiah Thomas trade, from him going to the Cavs, from him going to the Lakers, and pretty much just do like just a little overview on it all. Just give my thoughts on it. I know we talked about Isaiah, I think it was on Wednesday, talked about him just by himself, but I think we're going to bring in everything else that has to do with it now. All right, so obviously, Isaiah got traded from the Celtics to the Cavs for Kyrie Irving. All right, they gave away Isaiah, Ante Zizic, Jay Crowder, and the Brooklyn pick. All right, Kyrie Irving ends up coming to Boston. So, obviously, Kyrie Irving playing well with Boston. They're the 1 seed at the time. And Isaiah Thomas still hasn't played. Jay Crowder's not really doing much. Zizic is nowhere to be found. And the Brooklyn pick has yet to be picked. All right. So at one point, it was looking like Boston was winning the trade. Boston was playing well. And then we get Isaiah Thomas coming back, okay? Isaiah really didn't do much for the Cavs. All right. And then he gets shipped off to the Lakers for Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance. All right. Channing Frye alongside Isaiah Thomas goes to the Lakers, okay? And now Isaiah Thomas gets surgery on his hip. Now he's going to be out for 4 months. All right. Obviously, this hip injury was a bigger problem than I think we all suspected, and here we are now. All right. This could end up being one of the all-time worst trades in the history of the NBA. All right. I think right now the Nets trade with the Celtics still stands as the worst, where you're giving away 4 unprotected picks for an aging Paul Pierce, an aging Kevin Garnett, and an aging Jason Terry. All right. That was an all-time probably the worst trade of all time, because that ended up benefiting Boston, giving them Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kyrie Irving, because without that 4th Brooklyn pick, they're not getting Kyrie. All right, and now for the Cavs, I mean, you don't have Isaiah Thomas, you don't have Jay Crowder. Ante Zizic really isn't a great player by any means, and let's say that you use the Brooklyn pick and the guy ends up becoming a bust. What exactly did you get for Kyrie Irving? All right, and people are going to say, oh, we got Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance. Cool. All right, that's cool. Great. Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson worth Kyrie Irving? Because that's basically what they got. All right, you basically got Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, Ante Zizic, and the Brooklyn pick is basically your haul for Kyrie Irving. Does that sound like a good trade to you? It doesn't to me. All right. And even then, so with the trade with the Lakers, I mean, I feel like the Lakers won that trade a bit. If anything, the Lakers got better. Cavs haven't gotten better or worse with Nance or Clarkson. If anything, Nance has been quite a revelation for them, now coming in as a rebounder and being a solid player for that team. Clarkson is more so off and on, but like I said, it's no different. All right, the Cavs really haven't gotten better or worse. They've been the same team. They haven't gained any ground on the Celtics. All right. If anything, they've been competing against the Sixers, Pacers, and Wizards the entire time to maintain their position as far as seeding goes in the East. All right. And with the Celtics, I mean, the whole trade with Kyrie, I mean, he's been out. And one thing that's kind of makes you worry is how serious is Kyrie's knee injury. All right. How is this going to linger for the rest of his career? Is this going to hold him out for a while? You don't know. And even with the Celtics, I mean, it's just a matter of no one's expecting you to win this season. If I were them, I would just sit Kyrie Irving for the rest of the season. But if he says, oh yeah, I'm 100%, I feel fine, there's no soreness or anything like that, then you bring him on. But it's just a matter of with the Celtics, I mean, let's put it this way, all right? You got Kyrie Irving for those three guys and the pick. Two of those guys are playing on different teams. One of them barely even gets minutes, and the other thing, the pick, hasn't even set foot in the NBA. All right? And with it all, it's just, I don't know. This is all kind of Brad Stevens' fault here, okay? Because if Brad Stevens doesn't make Isaiah Thomas look as good as he did, and obviously Isaiah Thomas has some ability, okay? That's no question or anything like that. Isaiah Thomas is a great player. But it's just Brad Stevens helped elevate him a bit more, and that's what pretty much brought up his value, and that's how you get a Kyrie Irving. And if I'm the Cavs, I mean, I don't understand. They knew beforehand that Isaiah Thomas had a hip injury, okay? That was one of the things where you're like, oh, maybe the trade's not going to happen anymore, all right? But they ended up going with it, and now it's just they messed up, all right? I think Dan Gilbert was the one who was behind that trade, and Dan Gilbert pretty much hurt the Cavs. Because you got a guy like LeBron who I'm sure didn't even want Kyrie to be traded. If anything, trade him to the Suns. You could have got like an Eric Bledsoe before Milwaukee got him, and they refused to do that. I'm sure they could have got a Paul George for Kyrie Irving, and that never happened. And now you're ending up with two Lakers players who weren't even the top four players on that team. All right? That's who you got for Kyrie Irving. And with the Lakers, I mean, them getting Isaiah Thomas, obviously he's out for the rest of the season, but they did shut out cap space. And if anything, they played well since Isaiah got there, okay? Isaiah Thomas hasn't been lights out or anything like that, but you can say, I think, that he has played better with the Lakers than he did with the Cavs. And I think it's just the whole thing with culture. The Cavs, I think, have one of the most backwards different cultures, I guess, in the NBA because of the fact that you got a guy like LeBron on that team. It's not how it would be any other team, okay? LeBron on any team that he plays for is the coach, is the captain, is the best player, is everything. All right, you're always going to go to LeBron when you're thinking of making a move. You're going to see what he thinks about it. All right. And with Dan Gilbert, I feel like he was kind of over that because of the fact that Dan Gilbert kind of wants to be like Jim Irsay, I think. All right, kind of like, and I'm not going to compare him to Jerry Jones because I feel like Jim Irsay is exactly who Dan Gilbert is. All right. Both aren't very well liked in their communities, I guess you could say, amongst their peers. All right. Both really think they know more than what they actually do about the games in which the teams that they own. All right. And both, I think, try too hard to look smart. All right. With Dan Gilbert, I think his whole thing is trying to show it's not just LeBron, it's me too, and all that. All right. Remember the letter that Dan Gilbert sent out once LeBron left the first time? All right, that was bad. Dan Gilbert, all he needs to do is just be an owner, okay? Don't try and do too much, all right? Don't put yourself out there. Stay behind the scenes. Do whatever else it is that you do for a job and kick back. Let the guys, get him rid of David Griffin, okay? David Griffin was a guy who probably could have got something for Kyrie Irving and wouldn't have traded Kyrie Irving to their biggest rivals, I guess you could say, in the East. All right? But nonetheless, he fired David Griffin, so it just didn't happen that way. All right? I think Kyrie Irving's teams was New York, as in the Knicks, the Spurs. I think Minnesota was a team, and I think it might have been Miami being the other. All right? You could have got good value out of all those teams. But nonetheless, you get rid of a guy like David Griffin, there's no real direction. All right? All the trade talks that David Griffin had before you fired him are now gone because of the fact that no one remembers what David Griffin had in his head. No one knows what David Griffin was thinking about. No one knows what David Griffin was close to. So you get rid of a guy like that. Now you got to start over, and you got a Dan Gilbert coming in. Oh, wow, I'm going to try and fix this team. So let me get Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and Ante Zizic. We should have figured that those players wouldn't be as good as they are now or as good as they were with Boston because of the fact that they don't have a Brad Stevens out there. All right? Brad Stevens makes every player that comes into that team look like a competent rotational basketball player who should be out there. All right? My favorite example is Shane Larkin, who was playing in Spain last year. All right? Now he's playing meaningful minutes, playing big minutes for the Celtics during crunch time. All right? Against the Jazz, he was out there. Brad Stevens drew up the last shot for Shane Larkin. Okay? That's how well he's been playing this season. You got guys like Abdel Nader, who I'm sure probably wouldn't even get off the bench for other teams if you move them. But you got Brad Stevens making him look like a nice little rotational player. All right? Jay Crowder really wasn't much before he came to Boston with the Mavericks. I guess he was an okay player. But ended up coming to Boston, played extremely well, got a nice little deal. Value's high, gets shipped to Cleveland. Nothing happens. Doesn't play well. All right? Jay Crowder's a guy who needs coaching in order for him to play at his best. Ty Lue's a weird coach. I'm not even sure really like how much the team, and again, this is all just my opinion, but I'm not sure how much the team really follows him, how much they pay attention to him. I'm not sure like really who runs the show over there in Cleveland. All right, is it LeBron? Is it Ty Lue? Who knows? But a guy like Ty Lue isn't really an X's and O's type guy, like a Stevens or even a Quinn Snyder is. And Quinn Snyder is a very good coach, let me tell you. One of the best coaches in the league. If I had to go with my best coaches, I'd say it's Brad Stevens, number 1. Then I'll go Pop. Number 3, I'll go Spoelstra. And then 4, I'll go Quinn Snyder. All right. But anyways, getting back to the point, I mean, Ty Lue isn't really a guy who I feel is going to really coach up some players. He's not like that analytics, smart, looking nerdy guy. All right. He's more old school because of the fact of when he played. Quinn Snyder and Brad Stevens, I feel, are almost kind of similar because of the fact that they get a lot of production out of players you wouldn't think they would. All right, Royce O'Neal, no one talks about him because no one really knows about him, but Quinn Snyder's done well to pretty much get that guy who, like I said, no one knew before he even was on the Jazz to play well. All right, Rudy Gobert is going to be the Defensive Player of the Year this year. If not, that's going to be a travesty. Ricky Rubio's been playing well. Donovan Mitchell, solid player this season. All right, Derek Favors has had a nice little renaissance year this season. And then off the bench, you got Jonas Jerebko, who could do a job. And you got Jay Crowder, who's been playing not extremely well, but has been playing as good as he was with Cleveland. All right. This whole trade, like I said, is probably one of the worst in basketball history because of the fact if that Brooklyn pick does not turn out to be a star and becomes a bust or is just some type of role player, then the Celtics basically gave up nothing to get Kyrie Irving. And I guess with the trade, we got to see, too, how healthy Kyrie Irving could stay once he comes back. All right, because that's one thing, too. This trade could very well be a push, because if Kyrie Irving just comes back but is always dealing with his knee injury, then that's going to be a problem for the Celtics. And neither team is really going to benefit from it. And with Dan Gilbert pretty much making the trade and all that, how did he expect to keep LeBron there? Okay? You traded away probably the best player LeBron's played with since Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And you really don't get anything for him. And I'm sure LeBron, once Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder got shipped away, probably looked up to that front office and pretty much thought, you know what? This isn't good here. Okay? Because of the fact that it's kind of like with Dan Gilbert running the show, which I very well think he is, and you could say Kobe Altman is, but I'm going to go ahead and think that Dan Gilbert is, unless there's some definitive proof that, yeah, Altman's making the decisions. But it's just a matter of, I know Dan Gilbert's in his ear, and Dan Gilbert just isn't really what you want in an owner if you're a player. All right? This trade could be one of the things that pushes LeBron away from Cleveland. And I can't wait for Dan Gilbert's part 2 letter for when LeBron leaves, okay? Are they going to win another ring before the so-called king? That's one of my favorite lines, okay? We will bring a championship before the so-called king gets one. And that just wasn't the case at all. Didn't the Heat win like 2 titles? Yeah, won 2 titles, I think it was, while LeBron was there. That Heat team probably should have done a lot more. That was probably one of the best teams of all time. All right, people talk about the Warriors knocking off the Chicago Bulls, the 96, 97 Bulls or whatever it was. What about that 2012, 2013 Heat team? All right, the Heat were a very good team. That was probably when LeBron was at his best right there. All right, at his absolute peak as far as athleticism and everything else that has to go with the game. But either way, I mean, like I said, this trade is going to... Well, it's not done yet. We got to wait to see what happens with the Brooklyn pick. We got to wait to see what happens with Isaiah Thomas. Let's say Isaiah Thomas becomes a free agent, comes back to Boston and plays extremely well. Then, I mean, Cleveland's losing even more. All right? I mean, you got to see what you got in Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson, and I think we pretty much know what they got there. As far as the Lakers, I mean, the Cavs very well could have helped the Lakers create the cap space they needed to bring in a Paul George and LeBron James. I mean, just imagine that. The Cavs could have made 2 very bad trades in one league year. Do we realize that? All right, the Cavs front office has always been kind of baffling, and it's just this year it's been even more so. So we'll see about it. But next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of basketball and making my picks for tonight's NBA game. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked about the Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas trade, more so looked at it through, I guess, just pretty much like the little effect that it's had on with every team that it's came across. Like we talked about the Jazz, we talked about the Lakers, we talked about the Cavs, of course, and the Celtics. So we pretty much just did like a little overview of it. And like I said, we talked about the Sixers, we talked about Embiid being out for 2 to 4 weeks. Going to see how Philly seems to deal with that. Are they going to stay in the 4th spot? Are they going to move up to the 3rd? Or are they going to drop to the 5th? Who knows? It remains to be seen. And then for the first segment, as we always do, we recapped yesterday's NBA games, which was Thursdays. All right, I had a bunch of good games going on. It was fun to watch. We got a bunch of good games going on tonight. But either way, like I said, for this segment, we talk about anything else going on in the world of basketball or anything that just crosses my mind as far as basketball topics go. And one thing I've been thinking about, I saw earlier, I think that Dirk Nowitzki is thinking about coming back for his 21st season with the Mavericks. And I mean, I'm all for Dirk coming back, and that's not really what the segment is going to be about or anything like that. But it's just, I've always thought that Dirk Nowitzki was more so a very underrated player, probably one of the most underrated of all time. All right, Dirk Nowitzki, he's not like that extremely athletic player or anything like that. He's not a LeBron James. He's not a Kobe or anything close to that. But it's just like Dirk has his own little style, and it's just, I don't think we've appreciated it enough. All right, Dirk's gone out. He's been the leader on the team. He's taken his team to finals. He's won championships before. Well, championship, I guess you could say, since it's not plural. I think he's only won one. But either way, Dirk is probably like, where would you rank Dirk all time? Okay, it's not top 10 or anything like that. Let me see if I could find some top lists and see where, I guess, people like ESPN would rank a guy like Dirk Nowitzki. And I was just looking at a top 25 list by Fox, and it came out December 2017, last Christmas. And Fox Sports has Dirk ranked as the 21st best player, I guess you could say, all time in the NBA. All right, got him behind guys like John Stockton, Karl Malone. Let me see who else you got him behind. Garnett, behind Wade, behind Pippen, behind Julius Erving, Jerry West, David Robinson. David Robinson's someone that's very underrated too. They got Kobe ranked 12th on this list. I don't know. Is Kobe the 12th best player of all time? I mean, he's got Bird at number 9, Will at 8, Bill Russell at 7, Magic at 6, Tim Duncan at 5, Shaq at 4, Kareem at 3, LeBron at 2, Michael Jordan at 1. That's a little bit out there as far as a all-timer list right there. I mean, you got Magic ranked 6. I think Magic for sure is top 5. Let me see. Let me give my top 5. I'm going to go LeBron at 1, Michael at 2, Magic at 3, Bird at 4. And then I kind of do like the idea of Shaq being at 5. But you got Kareem too, so I guess you'd have to put Kareem. Or I'm going to go Kareem at 4 and then Larry at 5. And then Shaq can just be right there on 6. But as far as Dirk Nowitzki, I think that he's one of the top 20 players of all time. I would think so. I think he's, top 6 all time in scoring. And Dirk has always been a guy that's pretty much went in with his lunch pail, walked out, and pretty much did his business. He's never been a guy who's in the headlines or anything like that. I think he's always been a pretty good leader for the Mavs and all. So, I mean, just with Dirk, I mean, that's one thing I've always just thought about is where is he ranked all time? Like, as far as the consensus. Like, what do we think of Dirk? But either way, yeah, just wanted to talk briefly about that. I mean, the Warriors right now, you got KD who got ejected for the 5th time this season. That's more combined than anything he's done. Tongue twister there. All right, so he's been ejected 5 times this season. That's more than any other time he's been ejected combined in his career before that. And with the Warriors, like I've been saying, I mean, it just kind of seems like this is the year where, I mean, they just don't get it done. So we'll see about it. If they make the finals, they'll win it, but it's just a matter of getting past Houston and all those other teams they're going to face off with. But either way, let's make my picks for tonight's NBA game. So first up, we got the Chicago Bulls facing off with the Orlando Magic. All right, I got the Magic winning this one. The Bulls are 9-29 on the road. Magic are 15-22 at home. Bulls haven't really been playing their best players, so I'm going to go with the Magic like I said. Then we got the 76ers facing off with the Atlanta Hawks. Philly is favored in this one, but I'm going to go with the Hawks. I think that they're going to be a little shell-shocked without Embiid, and it's going to be a bit different, so they're going to have to get used to that. So I'm going to go with the Hawks. The Hawks are going to steal one right here. Then we got the Pelicans facing off with the Cavaliers. I'm going to go with the Pelicans. Kevin Love's been out. I think Anthony Davis is going to have a monster game, and they're going to be able to knock off Cleveland in Cleveland. So I got the Pelicans. Then we got the Suns facing off with the Rockets. Easy pick right here. I got the Rockets. Then we got the Nuggets facing off with the Thunder. Thunder coming off of a bad loss to the Spurs. All right, lost by like 4, but nonetheless, a game the Thunder should have pulled off. I'm going to go with the Nuggets in this one. Don't like the way the Thunder have been playing as of late. They're kind of spiraling out of control a bit, I feel. Then we got the Timberwolves facing off with the Mavericks. Timberwolves have struggled as of late against these bad teams, but I think they're going to be able to pull it off here. I'm going to go with Timberwolves knocking off Dallas. Then we got the Grizzlies facing off with the Jazz. Easy pick here. I got Utah. Really no reason to go against them. Then we got the Bucks facing off with the Lakers. Bucks coming off of a nice win against the Warriors. I'm going to go with them in this one. I think Lonzo Ball's still out for the Lakers, so yeah, I got the Bucks winning this one. And then we got the Clippers facing off with the Portland Trail Blazers, and I'm going to go with Portland in this one. All right, the Clippers need this win, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So to recap, I got the Magic winning, the Hawks winning, Pelicans winning, Rockets, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Jazz, Bucks, and Trailblazers. I believe it's 4 upset picks tonight. I got the Bucks over the Lakers, the Nuggets over the Thunder, Pelicans over the Cavs, and the Hawks over the 76ers. So we'll see how right I am with the picks going on tonight. But that's actually going to wrap it up for today's show. Today we talked about yesterday's NBA games. We talked Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid. We talked the whole Isaiah Thomas trade as a whole with the Celtics, Lakers, Jazz, and even the Cavs, I believe. And then we talked for this segment about Dirk a bit. We made my picks, and pretty much, yeah, that's it for today's show. Thanks for listening to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back on Monday. We'll recap the Final Four games and talk a bit more about things over the weekend. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.